Hey guys, today we are looking at two amazing ultra lightweight jacket options for hiking and backpacking. The teryx Cerium SL versus the Mountain Hardwear Ghost Whisperer UL. That's next. Welcome to Backcountry Renegade. I'm Jeff. This channel is all about hiking, backpacking, the outdoors, and all the gear in between. If you're into those things too, consider subscribing. Today we're looking at two awesome ultralight jacket options that are popular for hiking and backpacking. We have the teryx Cerium SL and the Mountain Hardwear Ghost Whisperer UL. Both these jackets are ultralight versions of their bigger brothers. The teryx Cerium LT is the typical popular one that a lot of people have. Well, this is the thinner, smaller, less denier version that saves tons of ounces. And the very popular Mountain Hardwear Ghost Whisperer, this is the super ultra light version. Both these jackets have a wide variety of uses, from hiking to backpacking to trail running to skiing, snowboarding, climbing, and lots of other uses that you can probably think of. You can use these as a standalone jacket, or you can use them as a mid-layer underneath a shell. So let's look a bit more detail of these two jackets and see what's the best bang for your buck. The teryx Cerium SL is the lighter version of the Cerium LT. So it's really nice for trail running. It's also good for times when you're going up in the mountains, but you're going on a summer day and just want something nice to cover and keep you warm as well. It does have a little bit less insulation than the Cerium. It also has a little bit thinner denier in certain areas as well. But it does pretty much have the exact same kind of features as the Cerium LT. Both the Cerium SL and the Cerium LT both have down insulation inside, but also has synthetic insulation in strategic places that are prone to get wet. This is an excellent piece for those who are looking in the spring and summer nights without having something that's going to weigh them down. So it's really ultralight, but it does have a good warmth to weight ratio. It comes in various sizes and colors. This one here is in the men's small and in the color black here. It sells brand new for $359 at Teryx. The Ghost Whisperer UL is a new version in the Ghost Whisperer line that does come at a very nice package weight. Mountain Hardwear calls this jacket the four-leaf clover of all jackets, and it's being touted as something that raises the bar as the lightest featured insulated layer ever produced. They claim this has a really excellent down, which is 1,000 fill power down, which is one of the highest qualities that you can get. Match that also with a really thinner shell fabric, and you get an uber light, ultralight version of the Ghost Whisperer jacket. If it wasn't already light enough, now you get something even lighter. This has a great warmth to weight ratio as well. It's extremely packable and lightweight. It comes in various sizes and colors. This one here is in a men's small, and it sells new for $375. Well, let's talk about the differences of each jacket a little bit more in detail, starting with the shell fabric. The shell fabric of the Cerium SL features an Arturo 7 denier ripstop nylon. So it's a very thin shell here as well, and which means it's going to be pretty delicate. So you're going to want to really care for this. It has a DWR finish on the outside coating to help repel water to an extent. And because it is ripstop, it is somewhat windproof to an extent as well. It's a good balance, I would say, between durability and lightweightness. I really wouldn't want to go lower than that 7 denier there. Now compare that to the Cerium LT, which actually features 10 denier. So this is going to be a lighter weight jacket because of the lighter shell material and insulation, but it's going to be less durable than the Cerium LT, so something just to keep in mind. Now looking at the Ghost Whisperer UL jacket, the shell fabric is really, really thin, and the goal of this jacket is to be as lightweight as possible. So they use 5 denier and 7 denier mixture in certain areas. So it's super delicate kind of jacket, but it comes at saving the ounces. So if you're wanting something that's a bit more rugged that you can abuse and bushwhack as well, this probably isn't a jacket for you, but if you're gonna be very careful and delicate with your jacket, then this is a great jacket as far as how lightweight it is. It's an ultra light ripstop nylon shell fabric that is also coated with a DWR finish to help repel water to an extent. As far as backpacking, this is a jacket that I mainly would want to use something where I get to the campsite. If I'm going to be using it with my backpack on and all that, I might have a little bit of worries about the shell material with the backpack maybe rubbing in the straps and stuff. And the durability really is something to question as far as how lightweight this is. But those are the trade-offs. You get something that's super lightweight, but you also have something that's also super delicate. So something just to keep in mind. Now let's talk about the insulation. The insulation of the Cerium SL features 1.7 ounces of 850 fill power down. Now the Cerium LT actually has 3.6 ounces, so that's going to be the warmer of the two jackets. It's also the thicker jacket, but we're talking about the ultralight version of the Cerium here. So 1.7 ounces of 850 fill power down. Now the down is premium down. It has a high loft at low weight, but it is not basically treated with any kind of water resistant material like Q-Shield or anything like that. But it also has synthetic insulation in certain areas that are prone to getting wet. They call this down composite mapping, and it strategically places Coraloft compact insulation in those moisture prone areas such as the head area, the neck, the underarms, and the cuffs. So something just to keep in mind with that. I would have really loved to see them put some kind of hydrophobic down in here rather than the synthetic insulation, but nevertheless it tends to work out pretty well for that. Now compare that to the Ghost Whisperer UL jacket, which features 1,000 fill power down. It's RDS certified down and fluorine free. Now this is the highest quality down that you can get. It's really, really fluffy, and so they actually use 1.92 ounces of 1,000 fill power down, which is going to be really warm considering the weight of the jacket that you have. So you have really good loft with that as well. It's good for cool nights and into the shoulder season, so you're not going to want to take this into super cold areas unless you're using it as a mid layer underneath a shell. But the nice thing about this jacket is you're saving a lot on the grams and you're using the highest quality down that you can get. Now, one of the things that this one doesn't do compared to the original Ghost Whisperer is because they're using such high quality down, it's not Q-Shield treated down compared to the regular Ghost Whisperer. So they use the hydrophobic down in that one, but not so in the Ghost Whisperer UL. So if it does happen to rain or get wet, if the down gets wet, it is going to lose its loft. So something to keep in mind. You want to have a shell that you can put over this just in case you do get the rain. So let's talk about the weight. The weight of the Cerium SL comes in at 7.3 ounces, which is relatively pretty lightweight considering everything that you're getting. You get a hood, your zippers, all that kind of stuff as well. But 7.3 ounces on the men's small version here. Now compare that to the Ghost Whisperer, which uses thinner denier materials as well as higher quality down, so they don't have to use a ton of that either, but it does keep a really good weight to warmth ratio. That is 6.17 ounces. So you're saving almost about an ounce here by going with the Ghost Whisperer UL, but you are going to be paying more as well, as we already said. So probably about $30 extra to get the Ghost Whisperer UL. Now let's talk about the warmth. Now remember, both these jackets are more of the cooler weather and the shoulder season, not so much for really cold type of environment. So I've started to feel cold in the Cerium SL as I was moving, probably around 30 degrees. So remember, I usually wear a base layer and then I put this jacket on, and so around 30 degrees I started to feel cold as I was moving. Now as I was not moving, it would be closer to about 38 degrees with the Cerium SL. So something just to keep in mind, if you are getting towards that freezing point and you're at a campsite and you're needing to stay warm and you're not moving, you might need something a little bit warmer than the Cerium SL. Now let's talk about the Ghost Whisperer warmth here. The warmth of the Ghost Whisperer UL, as I was moving, I started to feel cold around 30 degrees as well. So very comparable as far as the warmth. And I think part of that, even though you have more high quality down in here, because you have a thinner denier on the shell fabric, it tends to let a little bit more colder air through compared to the Cerium SL. So they felt very similar to me. Now, as far as standing still as concerned, I started to feel cold, probably more closer to around 36 degrees with the Ghost Whisper UL. And so because it had a little bit more loft while standing still, I was able to go a couple degrees cooler, but they're both very comparable as far as the warmth. So can't go wrong really either way. Well, let's talk about the baffles. Both these jackets feature down baffles here, and they're both thinner to an extent. So you have these sewn in down baffles on the jackets, which actually maintains where the down is placed so it doesn't fall throughout the jacket. And so it keeps it in place. But the problem with these, as you know, is where you do have these sewn in seams, you do not have any down. So that's where it's going to be little bit of cold spots there and wind can penetrate through. Now let's talk about the pockets. Both these jackets have outer hand pockets here on the outside. Now if you look at the Cerium SL, you can see that their pockets are actually horizontal here, so they go inwards, so you can have a good angle to put your hands in there to stay nice and warm. They both have zippers as well that you can zip up the jacket as well while you're in there. Now, the cool thing about the Cerium is the pockets are slightly raised a little bit higher. So if you're wearing a hip belt or a harness, you can put that there and it's not going to interfere as much as it would with other jackets that the typical pockets are a little bit lower. Now, if you're looking at the Ghost Whisper, you can see how they solve that problem isn't really by raising the pockets, but they actually put a little bit longer pockets than normal. So you still have this area that might get cut off on the bottom when you put your hands in from a hip belt or harness, but you have more pocket to work with that you can put your hands still in the jacket and they can stay nice and toasty while you're still wearing a hip belt or a climbing harness. Neither one of these jackets have any interior pockets. It's just the outer pockets that you see, and that's as an effort to stay as minimalistic and lightweight as you can get. So something just to keep in mind with that. You only get the two outer pockets there. Now let's talk about the cuffs. Both these jackets have cuffs here near the wrist, but the Cerium SL actually has elastic cuffs. And this is an effort to help reduce any kind of cold drafts going up to where your hands are. And if you're wearing gloves, the elastic can stretch over the glove as well and really make a good area barrier where cold air is not going to get in. Now compare that to the Ghost Whisper UL. You just have kind of like this brim. It's not really elasticy, it's just there. And so it's not going to close in. And so it kind of leaves a little bit of gaps when you put your hand through. Now, how you can solve this is if you are wearing gloves, you can just slip the gloves over the jacket and it'll do pretty much the same thing. But really as an effort to save weight with the Ghost Whisper, they didn't put elastic, they just kind of put this little material that is lighter, but it's not stretchy or anything, and it can't rebound to close. So you will have some little cold drafts in between your wrists. So just something to keep in mind when you compare the Cerium SL and the Ghost Whisper UL. All right, well, let's talk about the hem cinch cords. If you look at the Cerium SL, you actually have two cinch cords here that you can pull, and this does a good job of basically tightening the jacket around your waist to prevent any cold drafts from coming out. So you have one on each side to give you some nice closeness there that you can do without having one hem cord drawstring hanging out. So I really like that with the Cerium SL. Now speaking of the Ghost Whisper UL, where they sought to save weight, is by not putting any kind of hem cinch cord. As a result, they just kind of have the same material that I think it's like wannabe elastic, but really it's not. And they have the same material that is in the cuffs here. So it doesn't really stretch much and it's just there. So it kind of causes a little bit of drag on your clothing to produce a little bit of closing the gaps, but you're still gonna have the cold drafts be able to get in because you cannot tighten it around your waist. So something just to keep in mind, that is where the Ghost Whisper line decided to reduce the weight there. Now let's talk about weather resistance here. Now both these jackets aren't that weather resistant. The most that they get is that you actually have a DWR finish on the shell kind of coating. The ripstop nylon on the shell is also super thin, so it doesn't block out wind completely, but the Cerium SL is going to do a slightly better job at that because it's 7 denier as opposed to 5 denier where the Ghost Whisperer uses in certain areas. Now, the Cerium SL is going to be your more weather resistant because in the areas that are prone to getting wet, such as like the collar area, underneath the arms, and on the wrist area, you do have those areas that have that Core-Loft compact insulation that will still maintain its loft if it does get wet, where the rest of the down will be able to lose its loft if it does get wet. So you want to just keep a shell just in case, because neither of these jackets really are that weather resistant. So you need to kind of baby these, keep them real delicate. As we said with the Ghost Whisperer UL, this is not Q-Shield treated. It's not hydrophobic down like you see in the other Ghost Whisperer lines, but the UL version is just a typical 1000 fill down. So you want to take care and go ahead and have a shell just in case you think you might encounter some weather. Well, let's talk about the fit. The fit for the Teryx Cerium SL should be no surprise. Excellent fit. It really has this nice trim athletic type of fit. So if you are athletic, if you're slim, the Cerium SL is going to be really nice. It's not too bulky. It's not super tight either. It's just right for me. So I really enjoyed the fit of the Cerium SL. Now compare that to the Ghost Whisperer UL. It tends to be a tad bit more relaxed than the previous version of the Ghost Whisperer. And as a result, it just felt more boxy, a little bit looser. And I didn't really like that as much, especially towards the waist area. It just tended to be really boxy, and for me, it wasn't the best fit for me that I was used to from the previous Ghost Whisperer line. But being spoiled with our Teryx fit, I just really much prefer the fit of the Cerium SL compared to the Ghost Whisperer. Now let's talk about the hoods. Both these jackets have hoods. Now you can elect to get these without hoods. I like hoods for them, especially when I'm using them for backpacking as a layer, or if I'm just going to use them as a standalone jacket once I reach a campsite. And the nice thing about the Cerium SL is you do have this elastic brim around the hood to help maintain the structure and give it a little bit of stretch as well. You also have a cinch cord on the back here to go ahead and tighten it as well. So let's say you're encountering wind at a pass, it's not going to blow your hood down. You can tighten it with this cinch cord here. And another thing about this is these aren't helmet compatible hoods, but they can go underneath the helmet. So they won't go over a helmet. They will be really tight if you do choose to do that, but something just to keep in mind with that. Now, the Ghost Whisperer UL line, actually, you can see they do have that same kind of brim material here. It's not really elastic, and they don't really have any kind of elastic here to maintain the structure of the hood. So it's a little bit more of a floppy hood, I'd say. And there is no cinch cord on the back to tighten it. So what you see is what you get with the Ghost Whisperer UL. And as we know, that's in an effort to save weight so they can keep it as ultralight as possible. Now let's talk about these zippers. Both these zippers are very delicate. They're a lot thinner. They're YKK zippers nonetheless, but they are delicate, thinner zippers. So you want to be very delicate with them and just be careful with it because that's in an effort to really save weight. They go ultralight, so it's no surprise you're going to get ultralight zippers in the pockets and the main zipper. Now, one thing that you do see with the Ghost Whisperer is you have this extra flap of material that goes behind the zipper here, and that's as an effort to be as a wind blocker, so you're not going to get wind that penetrates through the zipper when it's closed. Now compare that to the Cerium SL. You actually have these little flaps on the inside, but it's not as significant as you see with the Ghost Whisperer UL. So you're going to have a little bit more wind resistance through the zipper with the Ghost Whisperer than you will the Cerium SL. Now let's talk about style. As far as the style or fit compared to these, I tend to think that the Cerium SL really has the better style. And part of it is because it has the better fit. They do look very similar as far as jackets. The Cerium just fits better, and I would more likely wear that around town than I will the Ghost Whisperer UL. The Ghost Whisperer UL is a good jacket nonetheless. It just is a bit boxier for me, and for me it doesn't have the same style that I enjoy with the Cerium SL. So I'd give the style to the Cerium. So let's talk about the compressibility. Now, as you probably guessed, both these jackets are going to be highly compressible. The Ghost Whisperer is going to be slightly more compressible because it's 100% with the 1000 fill power down, where you actually have some synthetic areas with the Cerium, so it's going to be synthetic is slightly less compressible, but they're still really good, highly compressible. So the Cerium SL will compress into the front pocket here, so we're going to go ahead and do that. All right, so here is the Cerium SL compressed into its pocket. You can zipper it up all the way, and there is no little carabiner or anything like that you can hang it on. So it's just basically what you see is what you get for the Cerium here. So let's go ahead and compress the Ghost Whisperer UL, and this will also compress into its front pocket here on the side. So go ahead and compress it like so. All right, so here's the Ghost Whisperer UL all compressed and zipped up. You do have a little bitty tab here that you can attach to a carabiner and put it on the hip belt. Now you can just see the compressibility. The Ghost Whisperer UL you can definitely feel is more compressible and it's lighter than the Cerium SL. Now, both these jackets are going to be highly compressible. You're barely going to know these jackets in your backpack. So either way, but the Ghost Whisperer UL is going to be a bit more compressible. All right, so concluding thoughts. Both these jackets are pretty amazing. They're specialty jackets, so they're really meant to save on the grams, and they're pretty pricey at that. So you will pay a price in order to do that. So you will have to maintain these. You will have to make sure you're very delicate with them. But if you're looking for the lightest possible jacket options, you can't go wrong with either of these two. But if I were to choose based on who won the battle here, I would actually have to go with the teryx Cerium SL. And it's because the pros outweigh the cons. The first pro of the Cerium SL is that it is going to be the more affordable option. Now, both these jackets are pretty pricey, but you are saving about $35 or so by going with the Cerium as opposed to the Ghost Whisperer UL. Another pro of the Cerium SL is it's going to be a little bit more weather resistant because you have that synthetic insulation in strategic spots. If it does happen to get wet, those spots are going to still stay warm. And as a result, that's going to be a bit more weather resistant. It also has a little bit thicker denier as well, so it has a better job at actually repelling the wind. And you're only getting about an ounce or so more than the Ghost Whisperer UL. Another pro of the Cerium SL is it's the better fit than the Ghost Whisperer UL. For me personally, I love the teryx fit. It just fits really well, and it's a trim, athletic kind of fit. And it's a lot better than the boxier, looser fit that the Ghost Whisperer UL has on me. So I prefer Cerium SL for that fit. Another pro is you actually have the hem cinch cords around the waist and elastic cuffs. So that's going to do a better job at actually keeping the cold out and keeping you warm on the inside. Now let's talk about the cons of the Cerium SL. The first con is they do not use any Q shield or hydrophobic down. So you will still need to have a rain shell just in case. Now the Ghost Whisperer doesn't have that either with the UL version. So just something to keep in mind. You do need a rain shell if you plan on anticipating rain. Another con is the stuff sack that it has. It's in the pocket here, and it tends to be easy to lose. I like to typically stuff my jackets in the front pockets, and so that's something you can still do. As you saw in the video, I was able to still do that with this jacket, but that's an extra thing of weight with this stuff sack, so something I would probably take out anyways. So what are your thoughts of these two jackets? Which one won the jacket battle for you? Was it the Mountain Hardwear Ghost Whisperer UL or the teryx Cerium SL? Leave me a comment in the comment section and let me know your thoughts. If you like what you saw, make sure to give me a thumbs up. Also subscribe for more jacket battle content like this, and as always, thanks for watching.